Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is January 20th, and Roki Sasaki has made a decision. He is a Dodger. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? It is Monday, the start of the week. We're here for a little special Monday episode. This isn't going to be anything crazy long or crazy, baseball heavy. There's some news that happened over this weekend, such as Jose Leclerc signing and AJ Minter. We're not talking about any of that stuff. We'll be talking about that on our usual kind of weekly episodes that we've been doing this offseason on Fridays. Today is a special episode because we're specifically talking about, well, really two teams, but we're really focusing on one of them, focusing on two specific players. And if you caught the last episode on Friday, you know what this is about, and if you see the thumbnail and the name of the episode, and if you listen to the intro that I just did before, you know we're talking about Roki Sasaki, we know we're talking about Tanner Scott, and we're talking about specifically the Dodgers. That's kind of the gist of the episode here. It's going to be a short, special episode, talking the Dodgers, talking Roki Sasaki, and talking about baseball in general really quickly. Kind of, want to talk about all the stuff that's been going on and people's opinions and kind of give mine, although I don't really have a strong one yet. I was going to record on Friday. The news broke Friday, and that Roki Sasaki had picked the Dodgers. But I'm glad I took a couple days to kind of continue to process the signing, and obviously now with Tanner Scott signing as well, that kind of gives more emphasis on the Dodgers and kind of my thoughts. So I'm glad I took a few days to kind of process this all and give you guys the news and my perspective and my take for the game of baseball. So just so we're all on the same page, Roki Sasaki, the Japanese phenom is what I'm going to call him. He is signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, of course, he chose to get posted early. Usually, a player needs at least 6 seasons in their, whether it be the Korean League or the Japanese League, the MVP in this situation, before getting posted. And then when they do so, they're allowed to take on a major league contract as if they were 6 years in the professional leagues, so they don't have to take a minor league deal. In this case, Roki Sasaki, his whole kind of goal and his whole motivation is to go down as one of the best international players in MLB history and one of the best Japanese pitchers in MLB history. And in order to do so, you want to start accumulating time in the big leagues right away. So he's only spent 4 seasons playing in the MVP, which means he hasn't earned enough service time there, which means he has to start again with the Major League Baseball and start a service time, which means he's only signing a minor league deal. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that he didn't get a nice, handsome signing bonus. He got a $6.5 million signing bonus for signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But he is on a minor league deal, so he'll be making kind of league minimum and going through the whole process like any other player who gets drafted and eventually gets called up to the big leagues would go through. So that he's going to get 3 years of pre-arb, which that money will be super cheap for him. And then he'll have 3 years of arbitration, which is where he'll start earning some big boy bucks if he's playing up to that potential. And after these 6 years, so going all the way to what will it be, 2031, give or take, is when he'll be a free agent and be able to sign, whether he wants to re-sign with the Dodgers or go off to a different team. How the league look in 6 years will be the question, but the Dodgers have 6 years of control. He's 23 years old. In his 4 seasons in the MVP, he's been absolutely dominant and fantastic. His record, 29-15 in his 4 years to a 2.10 ERA. That's incredible. He's got 3 complete games, a shutout. He's only given up 100 runs in his MVP career, 108 runs, only 15 home runs. He's got 505 strikeouts. His pitches are nasty. If you've never seen this guy pitch, go and watch some video, whether it's from the MVP or if you're watching the World Baseball Classic like he pitched in a few years ago when he was with Ohtani and Yamamoto. And all these players are now with the Dodgers. So that's kind of the first point to mention really quickly here, because that's something I've seen a lot of with the whole investigation. Will there be an investigation? A lot of people said that the Dodgers might have had a deal in place. Is this something that MLB will be investigating? It's a question that is worth asking a little bit. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense for him to sign with the Dodgers. But was there a prior deal in place before actually making the decision, before coming over and getting posted? Who's to say? I don't know. And until anything is actually submitted, and if MLB does open an investigation, I'm not going to give too much take into this, because I don't really care. If baseball teams and they want to start talking to the commissioner saying, hey, let's investigate this, if there's an investigation that opens up and they want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. But for now, I'm not going to put too much emphasis on that. I don't care. Sideline. The next point in all of this, and the thing I will say, it's a player and a team now where it's going over the top a little bit, in my mind. They also signed Tanner Scott. This was, recently as well. And, I mean, is it really going to change? And, there's so much I could say about this realistically, because okay, as a whole, before we get into the Dodgerness of it, Tanner Scott has been one of the best relief pitchers in the game the last couple of seasons. He's an all-star. He's had a long career. People forget he was with Baltimore, debuting in 2017 at the age of 22. But really, since 2023, 2024 is where he's really broken into the league. 2023 with Miami at the age of 28, a 2.31 ERA. He had 12 saves for the Miami Marlins, a 9-5 record, and he also played 74 games. Wow. This year he played 72 games. He was 9-6, had 22 saves. He had a 1.75 ERA, even better. He was with Miami for most of the season, but then at the deadline was dealt to the San Diego Padres, was with them for their postseason run, and pitched against the Dodgers, the team that he is now on. He was very good with the Padres. But yeah, a stellar year for Tanner Scott, and that was his all-star year last year. So really coming into his own as a relief pitcher and as a player in general. He got a nice deal from the Dodgers. It's a 4-year deal worth $72 million. Now, the news on it is that there are deferrals involved. We're still waiting for details. I could have told you that there'll be deferrals involved because the Dodgers payroll, I get lost in sometimes. It looks like a jumble sheet here. What I will say about the Tanner Scott thing and for the Dodgers, it's a smart move, obviously, for the Dodgers because, A, you're just adding more depth and another great arm to your bullpen. That's all the blah, blah, blah. That's all that stuff. But Tanner Scott is one of the few pitchers that really gets to Ohtani. So when you have the best player in baseball and you take and sign a pitcher who is able to get him out, you're making him even better. So I think that's why the Dodgers kind of wanted him as well. I spent the last little bit here just before recording this going through some of Ohtani's career numbers, and this is what I was able to find. He is 1 for 9 against Tanner Scott with 3 strikeouts. He had a walk and an RBI against him as well, and that's only in the regular season. In case you forgot, this postseason, the Dodgers and Padres played 5 games set in the NLDS. Tanner Scott faced Ohtani 4 times, and he was 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. That's right, Ohtani struck out to Tanner Scott all 4 times he had faced him in the postseason. That's a big deal. I tried to find pitchers with similar enough numbers who have been able to hold, Ohtani, and I was only really able to create a short list, believe it or not. The best player in baseball only struggles against a few pitchers, believe it. Aaron Bummer, 0 for 9 with 3 Ks. Yeah, he's one of the pitchers never allowed a hit, and that's on the Atlanta Braves. Shane Bieber on the Guardians. He is 2 for 13 against him with 6 strikeouts. He's got a double and an RBI, but besides that, Shane Bieber's kind of had his number. Ryan Weathers on Miami Marlins. He's 1 for 8 with 4 strikeouts against him. And then I guess now the best pitcher to handle Ohtani, also on the Padres, it's Yu Darvish. He's 1 for 11 with 5 Ks against Shohei. So those are the 5 players that kind of stand out. I did see Framber Valdez as well. Of course, when he was an Angel, faced him a lot. And while Framber usually wins those matchups, I think the average is about 150. Ohtani's got like 7 or 8 RBIs, has a couple of home runs too. So didn't want to include it, but I did want to mention it. But yeah, those are the kind of pitchers that are the best at getting Ohtani out. And realistically, Shane Bieber is on the Guardians. You know, you don't have to see him too much. Ryan Weathers and Aaron Bummer are just relief pitchers, and Tanner Scott. So, you know, you sign Tanner Scott, and that's someone who doesn't have to worry about Ohtani, and that's an opportunity there. So a smart move, a smart signing there for the Dodgers. And I guess this is where I'm going to come down to with this, because this has kind of been the question that I've seen circulating the most on the internet, on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and all of the great stuff here is, well, is this good for baseball or is this bad for baseball? And that's a reasonable question here, because what you have is the Dodgers, who on a 26-man roster, a 26-man team, they have 35 guys, realistically, guys who fit in and would be good on, you know, 28 of 30 other baseball teams. Like, these are MLB players. The depth is crazy on the Dodgers, and it's not even just the depth they have, it's the star power and the star potential that's there. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Will Smith, Michael Conforto, Tommy Edman, Hai-Sung Kim, Austin Barnes, Miguel Rojas, Chris Taylor, Andy Pajes, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Tony Gonsolin, Roki Sasaki, Dustin May, Tanner Scott, Michael Kopech, Blake Trinan, Aaron Phillips, Alex Vesia, Anthony Bandana, Ryan Brazier, River Ryan, Emmett Sheehan, Gavitt Stone, Brusdar Graterol, and the list goes on and on. I just named kind of the 26, couple of their injuries. You know, they got top prospects, Dalton Rushing. You know, are they going to re-sign Jack Flaherty? I doubt it at this point. Clayton Kershaw, he's got to come back, right? Joe Kelly, question mark. Kike Hernandez, like all these guys are free agents that, you know, could very likely and easily come back. You kind of keep going. David Bodie's there on a non-roster invite. James Outman. Remember how good this guy was in his rookie year 2 years ago? Last year was so bad that they sent back to AAA. What, did people forget about him? How about Bobby Miller is listed in AAA right now, according to Fangraphs. Landon Knox as well. You know, Michael Grove. Like there's just so much talent. So, you know, is it good for baseball? Listen, if you're an LA fan, if you're a Dodger fan, congratulations, because this is a huge opportunity here. There is no other team that can touch this level. This is overwhelming. It's absurd at this point. And are they even finished at this point? Like, I don't think they're even finished. I can't. I've been racking with myself because I don't know about a salary cap. What does MLB have to do to get involved? Because Dodgers can keep deferring payments. And at this point, like the Dodgers should, by all means, and I mean this wholeheartedly, win the World Series next year. There is no question. And we saw last year the Dodgers deal with a bunch of injuries to their starting pitchers, and that will be what they're saying, is you can never have too much pitching. You can never have this. They have a 10-man rotation. I think you guys have too much pitching. Like, let's slow it down a little bit. Save some guys for some other teams. They won 98 games last year. And, I mean, look, what it will come down to is no matter who you are, if you're a Dodgers fan, you will support your Dodgers. If you are any other baseball team, and a fan of baseball, the Dodgers should be your least favorite team at this point. Yankees and Boston, that rivalry, doesn't matter. You guys should both be hating the Dodgers more than each other. That's how I'm seeing it. The Dodgers are the team to beat. That's what will come down to. So when you get to the postseason and the Dodgers have to play a team, it's going to be everyone backs this other team, but can they beat the Dodgers? Can the Dodgers beat the NLCS team? Can they make it to the World Series? Can they win the World Series? That's what it's going to be every single year for I don't know how long at this point, because like you look at their contract situation, and I mean, out of all of their stars and like really important players, the first free agent is Freddie Freeman, and that comes in 2028. So that's at least, 3 years. We have at least 3 years of a huge window for the Dodgers. And it kind of continues because, of course, Ohtani will be around much longer. Glasnow's around much longer. Yamamoto's around. Mookie Betts is around. Will Smith is around. So, I mean, all these guys will still be around going into 2031 and onward. And the Dodgers' estimated payroll right now is about $370 million. That's a lot. And to put into perspective here, not to, throw a Tampa Bay team under the bus here, Tampa Bay Rays' expected payroll is less than $80 million. The Dodgers have almost $300 million more money to spend on players that they're spending on players than Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay will probably come within, 15, 20 wins of the Dodgers? Like, is it that much of a difference? Yeah, kind of. Like, a little bit here, because, no one can touch these Dodgers. And the question will be, and I've said it already, good or bad, I think for this year, we can see how it is. We'll see what happens. If the Dodgers win the World Series again this year, it's going to be a conversation to say, okay, do we make a payroll? Do we do a limit there? What do we got to do? Do we end the deferrals for the Dodgers? There needs to be some sort of rule or some sort of set mindset in place here, because this is getting a little bit out of hands. Because if you're a baseball player that has talent, the Dodgers can just throw millions of dollars on you, say that we're only going to give you $10 this year, but then we'll give you some more money next year and the year after that until you're 80. And that's kind of what we're getting at here. So I think right now it's hard to answer if it's good for baseball or not, because so far we've only been just sitting in the offseason. We've only been just seeing what the Dodgers have been buying and how their team is getting built together and everything. So, I mean, for that perspective, I don't really have an answer of if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad. But once the season starts here, I mean, is it going to, are the Dodgers going to come out on a 20-game winning streak to open the season? Are we going to have that? Are the Dodgers going to, break the season record and have 120-plus wins? This is what I'll say. From a fan, for the fan of a game here, for the fan of baseball, I love baseball. I will say this. I will say this to all Dodgers fans. I'll say this to Dodgers players who obviously won't ever listen to this. But if the Dodgers don't win the World Series this year, it is a catastrophic failure on their end. And it's not about, Mookie Betts might be injured or Freddie Freeman or Ohtani. It doesn't matter. Even if you have 6 injuries to major players and major contributors to the postseason, or even in the regular season that causes you to not win enough games, whatever the reason be, you must, at the very least, make the World Series, if not win the whole damn thing, for this season not to be chalked up as a failure, And I mean, they're just making Dave Roberts' job easier. Sorry, Dave Roberts should never win Manager of the Year again unless their team goes 162-0. Because is it really Dave Roberts, or is it just the talent that's on this Dodgers team? So I don't know. That's kind of what I have to say about this. I mean, the Dodgers team, they could have a lot of fun next year if they play their cards right here. And, players come back from injury. I mean, they're going to deal with injuries. Every team deals with injuries. Of course, will Ohtani be pitching at the gate? Will he not, is the question. We know Gavin Stone's probably out for the season. River Ryan as well, but they still have plenty of other options. Dustin May, Tyler Glass now, they're both kind of questionable for opening day. Tony Gonsolin should be ready for opening day, as well as Freddie Freeman. He had that ankle surgery. So they're going to have some injuries already at the beginning of the year, but it'll be questionable. But will it matter at the end of the day? Probably not. The Dodgers are going to be good. They're going to be competitive. If you're a team in the NL, I feel extremely bad for you. If you're in a team in the NL West, good luck. I will be cheering for the Padres. I will be cheering for the Giants. I will be cheering for the Diamondbacks. Rockies, you guys can have some fun. Maybe you win a game or two, but it's going to be a very interesting 2025 for the Los Angeles Dodgers here. That's all I really got to say about this Dodgers stuff. And the thing is, too, I'm not going to like the Dodgers. I want to see them lose more than anybody. Well, that's probably not true. I've seen a lot of people hating on the Dodgers. I don't like it as much. I'm not a fan of them just going out and signing a bunch of players. They've kind of created this God squad that I don't think we've ever seen a team this good in baseball history, realistically. But, as much as I want to see them lose, I love a lot of their players. I want to see a lot of them succeed. I love Blake Snell. I think he's a great pitcher. Freddie Freeman's one of my all-time favorite first basemen. Teoscar Hernandez, one of my favorite, power bats, right-handed hitters. Roki Sasaki, I talked about this guy ever since I saw him in the World Baseball Classic. I fell in love with this guy. So I'm going to be excited for him. He's probably going to be one of my top 5 favorite pitchers to watch next year, if not number 1. Paul Skeen's obviously around. But, I'm going to be excited for some of these players, but I want to see them succeed and have great seasons, but I also don't want to see the Dodgers win the whole World Series. So it's going to be an interesting year for me as a fan, watching the Dodgers and wanting to watch players and see them do well, but also have the Dodgers lose out on games. Very interesting dynamic for 2025 here. Last thing I want to mention here, kind of important, I guess, when we're talking about all this stuff, to move away from the Dodgers front. But let's talk about Toronto really quickly, because they're once again coming in second. And, this has gone on now for the last 2 years, kind of a big deal. And now it's not really just, this sucks for Toronto. I think they're straight up cursed at this point. This was really upsetting for the Jays fans here. Going back in the last 2 years, these are the players that the Blue Jays have been finalists on or have been second in. And if you think it's just one or two big names, no. Shohei Ohtani last year, Corbin Burns this year, Juan Soto this year, Roki Sasaki, Max Fried, Blake Snell, not only this year, but also last year. They were in on him twice. Teoscar Hernandez, Willie Adames, Cody Bellinger last year. And, by the way, before Tanner Scott signed with the Dodgers today or yesterday, the Blue Jays were in on him also. So, the list just goes on and on. The Blue Jays traded for Miles Straw and his horrible contract for $2 million in international bonus pool money to hopefully sign Roki. The Dodgers went out and did the same thing a couple hours later that day. They made a deal with the Reds, sent one of their prospects over for, I think, $1.5 million, which is how the Dodgers were able to give him the signing bonus of $6.5 million. And if you're thinking, that Dodgers prospect, I think they'll be fine without him. But yeah, the Jays, they get Miles Straw in all this. And Miles Straw's contract is pretty bad for a guy who can't hit. He still plays a nice defense, but the Blue Jays have a nice defense. They've won the Team Gold Glove last 2 years in a row. They need a hit. They need offense, and that's where they're struggling on. Guys the Blue Jays are in on right now: Anthony Santander, Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso. And realistically, are they getting desperate here? Because I don't know how good of a fit Alonso is. Bregman, I think, could be a nice addition. Anthony Santander, I think, needs to be the signing that they have to make to kind of have any hope this season. But the Blue Jays are just lost, and they've lost out on a lot of free agents in the last 2 years, and, coming in second on Ohtani stung. I think this Roki Sasaki is kind of just reminiscent to last year, and it's just coming in second to the Dodgers once again. And, for Toronto, I mean, Bo Bichette and Vladdy are at this point good as gone. If we don't have that Vladdy extension realistically in the next month, it's going to be a hard year for Blue Jays and their fan base, because with the moves that they've made, their team is not going to be that good. And, if they get to the deadline and they're below 500, a subpar team, with no Vlad extension, you can get a very nice package for him and trade him. You can get an even better one for Bo, maybe, depending on how he bounces back. This is a really tough season because there's a very positive and high chance that, at this point next year, the Blue Jays won't have Bo Bichette. They won't have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and realistically, they really won't have an identity. That face of that franchise will be turning from Vlad to what, George Springer, I guess. They have some pitchers, and they have Barrios and Bassett and Gosman, but I mean, it's tough, being able to. They're going to be losing out on Bo. They're going to be losing out on Vlad. And, you got to do something if you're Toronto. They've lost out on all these free agents, from Ohtani to Sasaki, Snell, and Bellinger last year, and Soto. And if I'm Toronto, I just don't know what's next. And, Blue Jays fans, I feel your pain out there. It's a tough season coming into it. And at this point, I don't know what saves the season. Is it, or saves the offseason here? Is it a Vladdy extension? Is it an Anthony Santander contract? Is it trading away Bichette and Vladdy already and just working on, starting the rebuild? I really don't know. It's going to be a tough year for Blue Jays fans, and of course, we still have a lot of teams to talk about here as the offseason continues. A lot of good players still out for grabs here. This short episode turned into a bit of a longer one. I apologize for that, but I appreciate you all. Thank you, buddy. Roki Sasaki is a Dodger. Tanner Scott is a Dodger. Let me know in the comments. I hope this episode gets out there and reaches to a bunch of baseball people. Let me know if you think this... what the Dodgers are doing. Is it good for baseball? Is it bad for baseball? Do you like the Dodgers? Do you not like the Dodgers? I mean, these are all really great questions here. Wrapping it up here, of course, there was news with Tanner Scott as well that I forgot to mention, that it wasn't just the Blue Jays in on him. Boston Red Sox were in, Baltimore Orioles were in, and apparently the Chicago Cubs were very close. Apparently their offer to Tanner Scott was 4 years and $66 million. So the difference between the Cubs and the Dodgers was about $6 million. And, well, of course, a better team. So Tanner Scott makes an easier decision that way. And, yes, all the other news that happened this weekend, like I said, AJ Minter and Jose Leclerc and all the other stuff. We'll talk about all that on Friday, I believe. So I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody, so much. And I will see you on Friday.